Hello, my name is Casey Sheeler, and I'm the Executive Director for the Rogers Public Education Foundation. Tonight, I want to welcome you all to the first ever virtual Wall of Distinction event. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, this past year has been challenging for everybody. But I could not be more proud of how Rogers Public Schools has handled the education of our students. Thank you to our wonderful administration, teachers, and staff for everything that they have done for our students this year. You all are true heroes in our community. Today, we've all come together to celebrate and acknowledge some amazing people who've made huge impacts in our community and in our district. Our newest Wall of Distinction honorees are Craig Campbell, Bill Dunham, GRIMSLEY Graham, and Reverend Ben ROWELL, all of which we will have the pleasure of hearing from tonight. In addition to our Wall of Distinction honorees, our legacy honoree recipients are Betty Lynn and Mary Sue Reagan. We are so excited to finally be honoring these deserving people. Also, thank you to our wonderful sponsors who have made this event possible. Your support means the world to us. Thank you again for virtually joining us tonight, and I hope you enjoy the event.
He's crazy.
We have lots of computer labs at our school, and that's great, but we also have to share those. And so sometimes I can't take advantage of a question that a kid has or a learning opportunity when I have my own set of Chromebooks in my classroom. They're able to research on their own now, like find answers to their own questions, and that's going to benefit them their whole life.
The Rogers Public Education Foundation's goal is to help provide teachers with grants for items or activities or products that the school district is not able to provide.
I first applied because I found out I could get books for my classroom, and so I teach critical reading, and we have a great library, but it's really nice to have books in the classroom that are high interest for reluctant readers and that are culturally relevant to them.
The biggest thing that we saw as far as the need for this grant was the ability to get as many students possible as flying. This grant allowed us to be able to expand to a whole classroom of kids. So rather than having like one drone for 10 kids, now we have like 2 drones for 3 kids. And those kids can go fly and spend a lot more time on the controls learning how the drones work.
What I love about it is they're so truly grateful and passionate about getting it that even the smallest of dollar amounts makes a huge difference to them. And you can see that in their reactions. My favorite day is to go give the grants out, especially with the little kids, because they get so excited for their teachers getting a present. These teachers are just, they're in it for all the right reasons. And so this helps them continue that on and pursue other ideas and help keep their ideas creative and thoughtful.
When I came here to Northwest Arkansas, I have wanted to do this for a long time. I just felt like it was something that, like I said, something that the kids would remember and cherish. Their parents would remember and cherish. They'll always have that keepsake. Thanks to the Rogers Public Education Foundation, we were able to fund our 2nd annual Young Authors Fair. The Young Authors Fair really gives them an opportunity to showcase what they've learned all year long. They go through the writing process, they plan and they'll do their draft and then they revise and edit and finally publish their final piece. But I think what they really like about it is that they can stand behind their book that they have written themselves. It's a very powerful personal experience for them.
I think when you can put the right book in the right student's hand at the right time, magic happens. And that's what's great about the grant. And I tell them, read the first page of this book. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Put it back. There are a lot of fish in the sea. Pick another book. And so then they pick another one. And finally that magic happens. They're like, miss, this book's not so bad. Can I check this out from you? And that's when you know, okay, I've got them. Like this is working.
So the purpose of this class is to get kids to understand that drones are not just toys. What we're doing is we're exploring all the different opportunities throughout the industry where drones are starting to make an impact. There's lots of opportunities for kids to be able to come out of here with a career that they can do.
With your support, we are able to do more and more as the years go on. Our ultimate goal would be for every teacher to turn in a grant for something they feel would better enhance their class or help their students better, whatever that is, that we would be able to say yes to all of it and not have to turn anybody down. We would like to thank everyone that is here tonight for coming and appreciate all of the support that you have given us and will continue to give.
It takes the support of many individuals, groups, and organizations to meet all of the needs of students and staff in a district as large as ours. That's why we're so very fortunate to have such a tremendous partner in the Rogers Public Education Foundation. It really just amazes me that we have volunteers that work with Casey to help raise funds and provide resources to our classrooms. You know, some recent examples are the foundation provided additional drones for our new career tech program in unmanned flight. They provide resources and books for our summer program, Rolling Readers, which will be vital to us this year. And through their grant program, they're able to support thousands of kids across our district through teachers who have asked for money to help put into play an idea they might have that would enrich the curriculum for our kids. So on behalf of the Board of Education and the administration, thank you to the Rogers Public Education Foundation Board and staff for all that you do to support our kids and teachers. Thank you.
It's hard to do one word. I would say confident, but I don't think that's right. I think it's more steadfast.
Thoughtful.
Fair.
He's caring. In high school, I remember I wrote a paper, and I can remember getting that paper back and looking through it, and he had lots of feedback about, like, you know, word choice and all those things to make my writing better. But at the end of the paper, he wrote, "Jennifer, this is very poignant." And I can remember getting up from that class, we didn't have cell phones, got up from that class and went to the library and looked up poignant.
He transferred that love of people into his classroom. Once his students realized that Grimsley cared not just about what they learned in his classroom, but that he really liked them.
The first time I met him, we were told we had a new cross-country coach. And up shows this guy in running shorts and super fit and a cookie duster mustache. And he says, "I'm Grimsley Graham, I'm your coach, let's go." And he ran with us. And that was exciting, but also depressing as a cross-country student, because now you had accountability.
What he taught me was a love of writing and literature that was at a level that I really only experienced a couple of times across my education. I saw it with him at Rogers High School. I saw it in college at Hendrix College with one professor who was a nationally famous political writer. And I saw it once in law school with the dean of the law school who I actually worked for. That's good company.
I watched him teach for the first time as, you know, fresh out of college, you know, kind of perspective. And I thought, wow, I had some great teachers, but I didn't have anyone who was quite like Grimsley.
I was proud to know Grimsley as a colleague, as a friend, as a collaborator, and equally proud that he will represent us teachers on the Wall of Distinction.
He expected us to work hard, and he expected us to do well, and nobody wanted to let Mr. Graham down. He could talk about things with us as 18-year-olds and make it relevant and make it important to us.
I feel like I had a lot of mentors in Rogers schools, and I haven't taught anywhere else. He stands out. I mean, he's one of the great, but he is one of the greatest in that group.
He has a way of like looking into your soul, but not in a judgmental way or condescending, but just more like, what do you really want to say?
I think a little part of me always aspired to be a little like him. There's nobody like him, but I aspired to be a little like him.
We spent many Saturdays driving down to Little Rock to the board meetings for the Arkansas Council of Teachers of English. And one meeting in particular is memorable. Part of it was to nominate and vote on board positions and executive positions. And I went to tidy up after lunch, and when I came back, I found that I was nominated for and voted as secretary, thanks to my dear friend, Grimsley Graham.
When I graduated from John Brown University, he was pretty much the first person I wanted to know, because my first year of college at the U of A, I dropped out, and somehow he found out. And I was driving down the road, and he was running with the new team. and he waves me down. I roll down the window and I think I'm gonna get like, hey, good to see you. And the first thing he says is, I heard you dropped out of college. What's your next plan? And of course, I probably turned white, my lips probably turned blue, and I really didn't have a plan. And so I kind of gave him some, half-baked answer, but that was a motivation for me to get myself back into college.
He was interested in seeing his students learn and also experience literature in a way that is very difficult for a lot of high school teachers to achieve and then maintain over the course of a long career. That's a challenge for anybody to try to keep up that passion.
Many of us became better teachers because of GRIMSLEY, and I know I did. And I also think I became a better person knowing GRIMSLEY. Joe out. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2020 Wall of Distinction honoree, our friend and colleague, GRIMSLEY Graham.
Well, first I'd like to thank the Rogers Public Education Foundation for this award, and I'm really appreciative of Mary Lynn Reese and Joe Soderquist and others who had the vision that led to the foundation. I remember in the early days of the foundation, Karen Benham called and said, well, we've accepted your grant. And I was ecstatic. I got a classroom set of college level writing anthologies for my AP classes. And it was just great. And of course now the awards have gotten bigger and more numerous, and I'm so glad that we have this organization. It was a great vision. After college and graduate school and a stint in the Marine Corps, I began teaching at Rogers High School in 1976 and never left. It was a good school, but it only got better. I think of the early days when I was there in the 70s, we had some real visionaries, Faye Jeffrey and Ginger Leslie and Bob Ross, that were able to think beyond the Northwest Arkansas province. And Faye and Ginger would bring in these wonderful speakers from all over the world and expose those kids to some good things. So my career at Rogers was very fulfilling, and I'd like to thank the city of Rogers for allowing me to have such a good career and support me the way they did. I remember waking up in the morning, especially in the latter years that I taught, just full of anticipation. And I remember thinking, my gosh, I'm getting paid for something that I really love to do. And that's a wonderful feeling. Spending time with high school students was just a joy. And we produced some really good ones at Rogers High School. And I remember thinking, half the battle, or maybe 90% of the battle, and I shouldn't call it a battle, but of the career, is liking or loving kids. If you don't love high school kids, you should not be a high school teacher. If they know that you like them, if they know that you love them, they will respond so well. And they're at the top of their, almost at the top of their game. They're intellectually coming into their own and close to the peak, and they have so much energy, and they're young enough to have that idealism, and they just really help you stay young, I think. So I think that's the key. It's a key to discipline also. If they know you like them and you're interested in them, they're not going to give you too much trouble. Well, I don't really know what else to say except that it was a very fulfilling career, and Carol and I lived in the same house in Rogers for almost 45 years, and it's been a wonderful community, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Describe in one word Billy Dunham. Mischievous.
Loyal. He's driven.
Tough.
He believed in the Mounties whenever he played for Rogers High School, and I'm sure when he went on to the military, he believed in that and believed what they were fighting for this country. And Bill paid a tremendous price, but he didn't let it get him down. He kept working, kept a good attitude, and he's made quite a success of his career.
Billy went to Elmwood in junior high, and I went to Oakdale, and we actually met through sports. Billy was always the man at Elmwood, you know, and going to Oakdale, we always heard about Billy Dunham, you know, in football and basketball.
What I particularly liked about Billy was that there would be a student off in a corner, maybe by himself or herself, and he would seek that student out and generate a conversation. He had a way of making people feel important.
You know, I always admired Bill for actually his attitude and capabilities and all the things that he could do.
If you could describe a golden thread with Billy Dunham, it would be his sincere care for other people.
He was a real coachable young man. He came from a real good family, and he wanted to please his coaches and his teachers.
Rotary has a motto, service above self. That very easily could have been Billy Dunham's personal motto. He had a way of others gravitating toward him. That's what leaders have.
Bill is loyal to this country, and he's loyal to his high school and to the city of Rogers, and I think that's a fine example for young people.
I mean, who better to represent Rogers, Arkansas than Billy Dunham, you know, for what all he has done and what all he has sacrificed, you know, and the type of person he was when he was here. You know, couldn't have been a better choice. Billy, he still doesn't think of himself. You know, he thinks of how to help other people with disabilities now through sports, you know, in his everyday life. You know, he's always just been a true champion. He was always the go-to guy when you needed something done. He was the toughest. He was tough. He was tough on the football field. He was tough mentally. You know, that's probably why he did such a good job in the military. To become an airborne ranger, you got to be tough. I love him. He's my brother.
He was a patient of ours for many years, and then actually ended up hiring him as a business development manager for us out of the years and relationships and his knowledge of prosthetics and orthotics at that point, and he's had a very successful career since. In the area of service, you know, when you think of you go in the military, you're there to serve. You've got a brotherhood, sisterhood. You've got people that you're working with, people you support, people you help. And that carried on into, you know, again, just I think his nature, his what I've admired and seen in him as he's worked for us, and towards patients that we, you know, have the opportunity to work with, and how he is very centered around that.
Ladies and gentlemen, our 2020 Wall of Distinction honoree, Sergeant William F. Dunham.
Good evening. I want to say that I appreciate the opportunity to receive the Wall of Distinction Award. I received a phone call from somebody that I couldn't really understand who they were initially, so I asked them to give me a call back. So I got the call back shortly thereafter, and it was Billy Dunham. This is Bob Crafton, and Bob and I just started talking about old times, and it was just nice to hear from him. And after we spoke for a few minutes, Bob ended up telling me that he was actually calling because he had the distinct pleasure and wanted to communicate to me that I had just been nominated or was to receive the Wall of Distinction Award. I was completely caught off guard. I hadn't spoke to Mr. Crafton in quite some time, and I grew up in Rogers just appreciating all the things that he did for the school district. He was the superintendent when I was in junior high. And I think part of high school, but I really respected and I played sports with his son and grew up just with a bunch of the same people, and I was really excited about the fact that I was being recognized for something that I really didn't feel like I deserved, and I felt like it was something that really wasn't in the cards for me. I ended up joining the 75th Ranger Regiment, which was not an easy task. I had to learn to be the best soldier I could be. So I had to train, with purpose and focus. And so I was really, thankful that I had so much of a start with the Rogers School District, because they helped me kind of build my, who I was to become. I want to say thank you. Being inducted into the Wall of Distinction it is a huge honor for me. And I want to also say, I just have to say that I wish my father would have been alive to see this. He graduated from Rogers High School. My whole family's graduated from Rogers High School. I mean, we've been in the community for over 150 years, or at least close to it. It's just an honor for me. My wife, my son, my brothers, they've all been a huge impact on my life, and I can't say enough about them. I'm very proud of my son, who I didn't start raising until he was around 7 years of age. He's not my biological son, but he's certainly my son. He's now back in Arkansas. He was recently stationed in Fort Lewis McChord in Washington State, and he's a captain, going to be promoted to major pretty soon. He's working on his master's degree at the University of Arkansas also. So I'm very proud of him and his wife, Allison. They've been doing amazing things with their lives, and I'm just very proud of them. I'd also like to acknowledge a few people that were instrumental in my life after Rogers. My working life. Kirby Shelton has been a great boss to me. He's given me an opportunity that I really didn't expect I would have, and I appreciate all the things that he's done for me. I want to say thanks to my good friends from high school and some of my family that weren't really my family, but Drew Van Winkle, Monty Duncan, Greg Jackson, Darren Brust, Danny Coleman, so many of my friends that I went to school with. So many people that I'm leaving out, but I do want you to know that if you were ever close to me, you're still in my thoughts today. And I also have to say that I couldn't do things so well if it weren't for the support and friends of my Ranger buddies that are still with me today. Paul Mercer, John Coco, who I recently became acquainted with, and John's taken me on a number of trips around the world. I really appreciate the honor.
Gracious.
Outgoing.
Funny.
Be two words, the ultimate Christian, I guess.
Ben Rowell is somebody that I value as a true friend.
My sons refer to him to this day as Gentle Ben.
He's been the voice of the Mounties, 30, 40 years, something like that. And you won't find another individual in Rogers that's not more of a Rogers Mountie.
He has a great love for people. And when you need him, he is there. It doesn't matter what time, he will be there for you.
If I had 1/10 of his people skills, I would be tickled to death.
Part of his story comes from a very humble background, and I don't think he's ever forgotten that, the poverty from which he came and what he has today. And he just lives a life that seems totally appreciative of every day.
Ben Rowell is a person that always does things for the right reason because he genuinely cares about people. He doesn't just say these things as a pastor, he lives it.
says Possum Trot, Arkansas is where he grew up. I've looked for Possum Trot, Arkansas many times and have not found it yet. It's down by Clarksville someplace.
He's become such a sweet friend. There was a group of us that went to Israel, and we just had a ball. And since then, we just kind of exponentially became greater friends.
We went to Israel with him our first time about 2 years ago, and he had a sciatic nerve that was just killing him. But my wife, his comment was that she was his drug pusher because she kept giving him Advil.
I met Brother Ben when I became the lead pastor at First Baptist Church Lowell, and he is the associate pastor, and he's got about 50 years on me. But what an answer to prayer, finding a mentor and a man like Brother Ben to really come alongside and help and lead this church with me.
He's able to be friends with anybody from any background at any age.
He has lived in Rogers and served the community and churches and Rogers High School for almost a half century. So he's really given his life's work to this community.
He just loves people, and his character is unquestionable.
It's hard to say no to Ben. And Ben asked me to think about running for the school board. And so I did. He is a guy that you have to be careful. Once he sinks his teeth into you, then it's hard to say no.
You may not know this, but Brother Ben is a great fan of John Wayne. If he comes up to you and he greets you with "Howdy, partner," you will know where that is coming from.
He sees things from a different perspective than I think most people do, and he's been through the mill. He's just a very intelligent man to begin with, but his wisdom even oversees that.
One thing I remember about Ben Rowell more than anything, you cannot go any direction in Rogers where he doesn't know the best place to eat.
He deserves this. I really think he does. He's so influential with everyone and so kind and sweet. I know that he is in his 80s, but I admire the fact that, you know what, he gets in that car and he will visit people all over the place that are shut-ins and things that just need a smile, just need a laugh or two, and he has that caring touch that some don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, our 2020 Wall of Distinction honoree, Brother Ben Rowell.
What an honor to be inducted in the Hall of Distinction. It's a great honor and surprise to me, but I'm so glad to receive it, and it's undeserved, but thank you a lot for all who involved in recommending me into the Hall of Distinction. First, I'd like to say I moved here in 1975 from Paris, Arkansas. Immediately I found out that we had one of the best school systems in the whole world. My daughter, who was a junior at the time, was just an ordinary student. But as she studied here at Rogers, she became a very good student and went to the University of Arkansas and made the Dean's List at the University of Arkansas. And we contributed that a great deal to the school system in Rogers, Arkansas. I've always loved it, always participated with them, always been involved with it. Greer Lingle, who was superintendent at the time of the time I moved here in 75, became a dear friend of mine. He was a great man, loved the school, loved Rogers, and really did a great job. And I contributed a lot of what my daughter accomplished and why I got involved in with Greer Lingle, who was the superintendent of the school. It was a great time, and as my daughter made the Dean's List, she told me that one day. She said, "Dad," she said, "I don't believe I'd have made the Dean's List unless I had attended Rogers High School." And so she contributed a great deal to that, and her teachers and all the people around her, and said, it's good, very good, to be involved in the school system. I've also been involved in the school system in many ways, and mainly I've probably known most of all, has been the voice of the Mounties for 23 years, the football team, and about 20 years for the basketball team. So I've been involved in that, been involved with the superintendent, been involved with the school teachers, and they're so great. We have one of the greatest systems that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I've been around a lot of high schools, a lot of colleges, and have been involved in lots of educational things. But Rogers is at the forefront of everything. Also, I want to recommend to you that you help the foundation. They are a great organization. They need your help financially. That'd be appreciated very much if you'd help them that way, because they do so much great things for our school and for our community. So I hope this is a good day for you and a good day for Rogers, Arkansas, because we do have one of the greatest school systems in the world. And I thank you so much for the honor that I've received today, and God bless all of you.
Thoroughness.
Solid.
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 That's kind of a hard question. One thing that I enjoyed Craig. You know, he made baseball fun. And in one word, I don't know that I can describe him.
I know Craig does a lot of things behind the scene. A lot of people don't know, I'm sure, and I'm sure that I don't know all the things that he does behind the scene.
Craig is the most likable fella I think I've ever known. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Craig Campbell. He was the president of our senior class, so we just had our 50th reunion, and it was like he was like a celebrity. Everybody was anxious to see Craig.
He's the sort of person that I've always been proud to call my friend, someone I respected, someone whose opinion I sought.
I'm sure this event is going to make him crazy because he's never been a guy that has wanted to have the light on him, but he's done so much good in the community with the Rogers Youth Center, Sunshine School, serving as Benton County Juvenile Judge. I mean, he's just done so much.
He is an upstanding human being.
You don't work somewhere 45 years and live in the same town your whole life without having great influence, both in the legal profession and in the community in general and in this church.
When he started clerking for me as a lawyer, you know, the people that worked for me didn't have any trouble telling me no. If I asked them for something, nope, get it yourself. But, you know, he's a law student and he's working, whatever we can do for you, Craig, whatever we can do.
I met Craig and his cohort, David Matthews, at a draft that we had, the little kids draft. My son ended up on Craig's team. David Matthews was kind of the cheerleader and the encourager. And Craig Campbell was more strategic. What they didn't have in baseball knowledge, they had in just, you know, fun for the boys.
From the time he became a lawyer, he was interested in things that advanced the youth of our community. He was a juvenile referee, then he was a baseball coach. He did that for many years, and a lot of those kids are now some of the leaders in our community themselves. I knew in 7th grade that we would have a law firm because, as I said, he's solid, and so when we made that pledge, we meant it. I was looking at my high school reunion preparations, looking at the yearbook, and lo and behold, he had in the autograph section, you know, everybody always signs their yearbook. He talked then about, you know, I'm going to not see you for a few years, and then I'll come back and we'll have that law firm together.
He was always, I always was interested in the kind of practice that he had, and so I sort of gravitated towards him, and he sort of became my mentor as I became a lawyer, passed the bar, and began working for the law firm. I learned that when you're a lawyer, you should get your shirt starched so you look good in court. I learned how to draw out a legal description using meets and bounds and a compass back before we had computers to do that for us. I learned how to do a foreclosure. I learned how to make and drink martinis and to appreciate wine.
27 years ago, he became part of our baseball family. He never lost sight of the boys and what they wanted, their desires. He listened to them.
He is a true friend, and he has lots of them. But if Craig's your friend, then you don't have a better friend.
He is just, he's everything. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2020 Wall of Distinction honoree, Craig Campbell.
Thank you. As some of you know, words do not come easy to me anymore. But even if they did, I would not have adequate words to convey my heartfelt appreciation for this wonderful honor. I have not been this happy since my Rockies team won the city championship in Bambino baseball back in 1995. I congratulate all the other honorees tonight, as well as those who have been honored before. It is an honor to join each of them on the Wall of Distinction that the Rogers Public Education Foundation has done and continues to do for our teachers. These extra efforts help our teachers fulfill the mission of the Rogers Public Schools, a place where all belong, all learn, and all succeed. I never dreamed I would be chosen to be included on the Wall of Distinction. I will be forever grateful for this honor. Now I'm going to sit down before you all change your mind.
Hi, my name is Brandy Van Winkle Martin. I'm a 1991 Rogers High School graduate. It is a great honor to accept this 2021 Legacy Recipient Award on behalf of Miss Mary Sue and Miss Betty Lynn Reagan. Legacy: to give a lasting gift, something received from an ancestor of the past. I cannot think of two better people, better women, and better educators, and yes, two of my cousins, to be honored with this award. I and many other students benefited from having at least one of the Reagan sisters as a teacher. Looking back, I can now appreciate how these two ladies taught their subject matter of history while also incorporating other areas of academics and by making their content meaningful to our daily lives. Miss Mary Sue and Miss Betty Lynn provided their students with the skills of organization, from using multiple outlines to take notes while in class, critical thinking, from many essays we composed within our homework and then also during the long, intense Reagan exams, a development of self-control. This came from the Reagan stare. They used this to keep all of us teenagers in line and taught us to respect others, as well as the guidance on how history impacts our current lives at home, in our communities, and now branching out to a global society that we live in and many of their former students work within all around the world. As educators, the Reagan sisters were two people that inspired me to become a teacher myself. Their love for history and their love for their students will always be remembered. As extended family members, Miss Mary Sue and Miss Betty Lynn welcomed my brother Drew and I into their lives through ongoing communications and many visits to their home. They created wonderful memories for us as well as for my family. One of my children actually carried their name, Sydney Reagan Martin. So, the title of Legacy, is it fitting for the Reagan sisters? Absolutely. On their behalf, I would like to say thank you.
Well, good evening, folks. I hope you've had as good a time as I have, enjoyed the videos of our 4 wonderful honorees, but now it's time for us to talk turkey. We do this Wall of Distinction banquet, of course, to honor people who have made great contributions to our schools, but it's also a fundraiser. And this year, you didn't even have to pay to come. You didn't have to pay for a meal. You get to sit at home and enjoy your company with your family and friends. But now it's time for us to do what this is about, raise money to help our teachers fulfill their goals of making the educational experience for their students as primo as it can be. Lots of people don't realize that we have dedicated teachers who every year go into their own pocket to pay for things that their students need to enhance their educational experience. Tonight, we want to give you the opportunity to help them with that. Each year, the foundation raises money and we accept grant applications from teachers for specific needs that they may have to benefit their students. And through the years, it's been an amazing thing to watch how these grants have turned into wonderful, life-changing experiences for lots of our kids. Tonight, I'm asking you, I'm begging you, I'd get on my knees if I thought I could get back up, to ask you to give as much as you feel comfortable giving, and then add to that, because our goal is to help students. We know we have a great education system in Rogers, but the efforts of the Public Education Foundation only make that school system better, and it's because of you. So I'm asking you, I'm begging you, please give what you can, and then give more. Let's make our students' experiences in Rogers the best that they can be, because we all know they deserve it.
Thank you so much for joining us in celebrating the incredible accomplishments of our honorees tonight. We are so thankful for the hard work and dedication of everyone involved in the Rogers Public School District. The Rogers Public Education Foundation is so proud to continue supporting our teachers and students. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope you have a great night.